shakes off a man to Liam Miller. He's got David.
Remember those days? Calling Canada games.
I was like, I know that voice.
Days.
I know that voice.
It's Oh Canada, Oh Baby, Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, John Conway with you. The Canadian Shield is right around the corner. Saturday, Canada plays Ukraine to kick off that tournament from BMO Field in Toronto, Ontario. I'm excited about these games because, with all due respect to Honduras, who they're playing in the Gold Cup, I've seen that episode time and time again. I want to see them test themselves out against some different opponents from around the world with true preparation in mind in terms of figuring out what you have and what you need to do ahead of the World Cup in 2026. We're just about a year out right now. I want to talk Jonathan David because rumors continue to swirl about his future, with one Italian newspaper claiming a deal is just about done that will see David sign on the dotted line to join Scudetto winners Napoli. So, boys, what do you make of Jonathan David potentially joining the likes of Kevin De Bruyne? Sounds like he's going to Napoli. And Antonio Conte, who looks set to stay with Napoli as well, with the Serie A winners. Would this be a good move in your estimation?
Oh, yes, very much so, Mr. Gareth Wheeler. I would love that. One, because Serie A, I think for me, is a league that is enjoyable to watch, but also when you look at Napoli and the way that they've played this year under Conte, I'd love to see David in that lineup. I think he'd be valued there. I think he's a very clever footballer. So for me, it'd be a great look. Again, we've just been talking so much about Jonathan David. We're very close to now him starting that new journey because you know he's leaving as well. So to start something new, we just need to see happen. But I like Napoli, but I'm just ready to see him go.
John?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's got to find a fit that's right for him. And if he feels like this is the right fit for him to go to the next step in his career, then good for him. He's going to a team that's under pressure because they've won the Scudetto. They're going to have to back that up next year. The Italian league is a difficult league. Look at Inter Milan, even though they got smashed yesterday by PSG. AC Milan is playing good football. I think it's a really tough league in terms of defenses. So he's going to have to be on his game to get chances to score. So I think it's a good test for him.
Yeah. By the way, AC Milan are coming off a horrible year, by the way. But we'll leave them alone on that.
By the way.
I just wanted to point that out. And, hey, like, the biggest draw is playing with Scott McTominay, McSauce. Like, that's why you go to Napoli right now. For me, it comes with a level of risk. Napoli finished 10th in the Serie A season ago. And you mentioned AC Milan. Like, they're typically a team that's going to be pushing near the top of the table. Inter, Atalanta's losing their manager. They're very good. Roma has bounced back. Like, there's a number of very good teams. He gets Champions League football next year if he goes there. But Raspadori, Lukaku, playing a formation where I think works with him. And his manager's a serial winner. I mean, that's a good thing. And the defensive side of things matters to Antonio Conte, which I think works well with the type of player that Jonathan David is. For Canada, if a deal is not done, guys, I just don't see a way that he plays with Canada at the Shield or even the Gold Cup. I mean, timing will be everything. If that contract is signed, then sure. But he just saw a Canada teammate last time out suffer an injury in Alphonso Davies, which will see him out until November, according to the player. He just can't take that kind of risk. Like, and even if he does sign a contract, when is he showing up to these Shield games? I think it's far-fetched to think that we'll see him play against Ukraine or Ivory Coast, potentially the Gold Cup. That gives him a little bit more time. Are you seeing things the same way?
Yeah, I don't see him showing up. I think if this draws out, even if he does get it signed across the dotted line, I think maybe even Napoli goes, hey, listen, we need you to chill and come in. And we'll get a look at you, get you a medical. We'll take a look at you, get you started for the season. I don't see a world where he does actually show up and play.
Yeah.
I'll say this: I'm not Jonathan David, but if I was, sand is in between my toes, and there's Casamigos in my hand. You need a week or two to just chill. These guys aren't robots. You go through a hard, arduous season. Yeah. You need some time to just kick back. And the fact that, look, a coach told me growing up, it's not the first deal that you make where you're rich. The third one. Yeah. That third one is the big one. This one is, hey, you go through the history. This is the one. I'm not saying this is going to be his biggest one. He might sign a big one after this, but this is going to be the biggest one for him to date. You can't get it wrong. He needs some time.
Yeah, and you know what Jonathan David brings to the table for Canada. You just do. I think we had an episode of this on a previous show where I'm like, I'm okay with them trying to figure out what things look like, plan Bs, other potential options. So that opens the door for any one of a number of different strikers to leave an indelible mark on this Canada program this summer and leave an impression with Jesse Marsh. So who would you like to see primarily step up if Jonathan David isn't able to play over the course of these next few games?
Mr. Promise David?
Yep.
I mean, we could talk about Jefferson too, but look, I know what Oluwaseyi brings. I think all these guys are top players, and I think as well Marshall's gotten time with them so they understand his system. But when you look at power, pace, size. And for me, as a defender, defensive midfielder, whatever, when I play the game, there's a threat and fear factor that goes along with playing against strikers. When you know someone at any point, if you get too close, will turn you, and you could end up in the stands if you don't get it right. We've seen Promise David as well, shirt coming off. Players trying to rip in his shirt as he's running forward and still scoring goals. That is the type of power and prowess I'm trying to see for Canada. Unleash him. Let him play, let him cook, and see what happens. Because for me, to have a player like that wasted on the bench is a travesty.
I don't know if I can say anything more than that. I mean, that's
we can talk about Jefferson too.
No, listen. Promise David needs to play. That's the guy I want to see as well.
Yeah,
had a great year, with his club team. He scores goals. Like, we need to see another guy who can be lethal in this attack.
Like, John, you know what it's like as a keeper. If you saw Promise David's 70th minute, prime coming in.
I'm yelling at my center backs to, like, yo, guys, we need to buckle down right now because this guy's going to be a handful.
Unleash him.
I will say this, though. It's not even as a counterpoint, but a question that needs to be answered is how does that fit in the way that Jesse Marsh wants to play? I've sat here many times talking about what Jesse Marsh players look like.
Yep.
They're quick, they press, they capitalize on mistakes. It's not about having that prototypical target man and building off and playing around him. At least the Jesse Marsh football I have seen. I've seen a lot of Promise David highlights. I've not seen a lot of Promise David full games to see how he works that way. So the fit for me is what will determine whether he works in this Jesse Marsh system or he's a player that can just come on late in games.
Scoring goals.
I agree. And guess what? I want to see Canada play a different way at times.
For sure.
I think they have to be able to play with a player like Promise David in the team. Big week here on One Soccer. Women's side, Canada, Haiti on Tuesday night. Then Canada, Ukraine, Saturday, right here on One Soccer. A Canadian Premier League wrap as we wrap this show. Match night right here on One Soccer. Welcome back to Match Night. No wins for the top four this weekend in the CPL. Oof. That's surprising.
Very surprising.
I know Forge played Cavalry, but this one, CPL on tour, the weather was absolutely awful. Do you know who was it? York United. Pretty good. A 2-0 victory over the team that was leading in the Canadian Premier League table to start the weekend in Halifax Wanderers. The game was played in Quebec City.
Come on, Julian, out the belly.
Yeah, that's a belly. Him and Sam Salter, joint leaders in the Golden Boot race. Let's ask this question to the former York United player, Jordan Wilson. Are York United the most likely team to break into the top four?
Yes. Yes, and according to my calculations, I have them at 5th. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to find a way to do it. They weren't playing poorly, John. They just couldn't manage games well. But now, winning 2 on the bounce, having situations like this as well, where they could have missed this chance and then tied this game 1-1, but the fact that they came and scored a 2-0 and it really secured it, great save by Yesley.
You like York,
This is showing New York at their finest.
You agree with Jordan?
I'm not there yet. I think one thing they do is they do frustrate other teams. I think a lot of teams get frustrated playing them. I think one thing they really need to do is get second goals. I mean, they got one here. Yates comes in, but they need another goal scorer. Julian Altobelli is scoring goals. I'd like to see somebody else help out in that category and relieve some of that pressure. But keep him going, keep him scoring, keep him feeling good. But they're going to need to rely on somebody else at some point this year.
It's an important win. I look at the top four. I don't want to say they're locked, but
No, they're locked.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty
I think
good.
the fifth spot is up for grabs. I wouldn't rule out Vancouver.
Making
I
that
think
fifth,
they have
Dave?
potential. But York are the clubhouse leaders. Let's put it that way, for the most likely team to be
If
fifth.
Vancouver are going to do it, situations like being up 2-0 at half, you got to
Yeah.
make sure you come away
You
with
gotta-
something
you gotta
more
get-
than a point.
Just got to finish the job. It's been a great weekend despite tonight's Vancouver Whitecaps result. It's been a great weekend here on One Soccer. He's Jordan. He's John. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our entire crew. They're hardworking and they haven't had much sleep. And the next few weeks are exceptionally busy as well. So just a shout out to everyone that we work with here at One Soccer. They're fantastic people. And it sounds like I'm just trying to pump everyone's tires because they got to be back in here on
But
Tuesday night.
That was authentic. That was.
Thank you. I tried to be.
Love you all.
Tough one for the Whitecaps. Thanks for joining us right here on One Soccer.